Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this 2019 13-inch MacBook Air. This is a Truetone model, a1932. Okay, so this one, it's turning on, but nothing's showing up on the screen. It works fine with an external monitor, so I'm assuming the screen is bad. So we got a replacement screen. We're going to attempt to replace that and see if that solves the issue. Okay, so this is just like most of the MacBooks I've worked on. We're going to take a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver and remove all the screws on the bottom. You want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, flat side down like this on my desk in the pattern you remove them. So you have this rectangular shape, just put them like that on your desk or table or whatever work surface, or somewhere that it won't get knocked over and get all mixed up. All right, it's very important you keep those in order. The threads here are longer than the threads on these, but the screws themselves are about the same length. Again, you don't want to mix them up because they are all different. All right, the ones on the sides here are much shorter. Okay, so I'm going to keep all of the screws in order. Again, it's important to do that. All right, if this video helps you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Other than that, we're just going to continue removing all these screws. It looks like all the four at the bottom look about the same. But again, it's always a good idea to keep them in order so that you can put them back the same way you got them. If I took the screw from here, I'll put it back here. I'm not going to move it over here or here or here, even though it looks exactly the same. Okay, let me go ahead and pop the bottom cover off now. So we'll just go from back here, and then you kind of just pull it up, just like that. Here you go. Oh, it is a bit dusty in here, so I'm going to have to clean that. Okay, I'll do that after I replace the screen and make sure everything's good. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we want to disconnect the battery from here. So we're going to zoom in. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press and hold this button, this yellow thing here, for 15 seconds. You can use a tool if you want, but you should be able to feel it click. All right, so we're going to give this 15 seconds, right? About another 12 seconds or so. Okay, and this drains any residual power, making it safer to work on. We're going to have to actually do this twice because we have to disconnect the battery now after holding that button. So we're going to peel this thing up a little bit, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and pull the battery connector out. So the battery connector is a little tricky to remove. There's this little raised lip on the connector there, and we're going to use that to help pull it out. Sometimes it's like really stuck, and then we're going to have to use a tool or something, but let's go ahead and see if we can pull this out. So usually I go like left and right to kind of wiggle it out. Okay, but this one seems it's really stuck. Okay. Let's rotate it this way and see if that will help. Okay, if it doesn't, I'm probably going to have to use like a flathead screwdriver to help push. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. We got the battery disconnected. Next thing we're going to do, again, we're going to hold this button 15 seconds. Okay, you should feel it click inside. You feel like the actual clicking of the button. You don't hear it, but you feel it like press in. Okay, we're going to give it about 10 more seconds. And then we can go ahead and proceed with removing the screen. Okay, so that's about 15 seconds, so we'll stop there. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove all the screws in here. I think we use a T5 Torx 5, T3 Torx 3, and a T8 Torx 8 to remove this. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take the T5, and let's see. Okay, yeah, we're going to, oops, let me zoom out here. So we're going to remove the wireless antennas first here. 4 screws, okay. Again, keep all the screws in order. Oh, why is this screw? Is that like a bigger one? That's going to be weird. What just happened there? Why is this a T6? What is going on? Never seen that before. So for some reason, this one uses a T6, right? Usually I never use a T6, but for some reason, this model, they're using a T6 or Torx 6 screw here, right? Okay, that's weird. Is one a T6 and one's a T5? So for some reason, the ones on the outside seem to have a less tight fit. But anyways, we use a T6 to remove those. So that's the first time I've ever seen that. I don't know if my T5 screwdriver is getting like worn down or something, but the T6 worked. So yeah, that's one thing I usually mention. You don't want to just follow along. You want to find the screwdriver that fits best, okay? Because if you just use a random one and it's the wrong size, you can strip the screws and then you won't be able to take this out. Anyways, we're going to remove the screws for the wireless antenna. Let me actually zoom in here. So the wireless antenna connectors, we switched over to a T3 or Torx 3. It does seem a little loose. Let me double check with a T4. Oh, I'm going to have to mute my phone. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. It's like slightly bigger than they should be. So we're going to use a T4, Torx 4 screwdriver for this. Okay, I don't know why it's slightly larger than it should be, but for some reason it is. So we're going to use that. Okay, I'm holding the metal plate so it doesn't swing all over the place. And then we're going to take this metal plate out and move that aside. Give me a second, I'm going to mute my phone. Then we're going to go ahead and pop these wireless antennas out. Okay, let me do that real quick. All right, sorry about that. Okay, anyways, we're going to pop the antennas up. So I'm going to go from the tails here and just pull up on the tail, just like that. Same thing with this one. Okay, now we got both antennas up. We are going to, I think this model, if I remember correctly, we have to take all this other stuff out before we can pull the antenna out. So we're going to stick with the T4 or the T3, depending what's going on. Let's see if we can remove these screws. So we're going to remove this one here. Okay, I think we definitely have to use the T3 now. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. This is really weird that they use like slightly larger to screw you up. Okay, so we're going to use the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver here, and we're going to disconnect the LCD LVDS connectors. So get that, and we'll get that, and we'll just remove that. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and pop the connector out. I just use my fingernail. You can use plastic pry tools, but I use my fingernails because I can feel how much force is being used there a lot better. All right, and you can see now we can kind of wiggle this, and we should be able to pop this out. But let me check the replacement screen to see if it has these little metal covers here for these parts. Hopefully you can see that better now. Okay, so I'm going to open up the replacement screen and check that first, because I don't want to take everything apart and then find out we're missing some pieces, or if I have to move that over, then we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to cut this box open. Okay, just like that. We're going to cut this open. Did they tape on the front too? I don't know. Well, let's see. Oh yeah, they did. Okay, so we're going to have to also cut this. Okay, just gonna cut this whole box open. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, this screen in particular came with all these tools, but I don't need that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and undo all this wrap. If you're doing this, be careful next to the computer, because bubble wrap tends to give off a lot of static, and you don't want to get the static into the motherboard or the logic board. Okay, so all right, we got this. Also, this foam stuff gives off quite a bit of static as well, so again, you want to be careful. All right, so we're gonna peel this up. Alright, and then let's go ahead and peel this thing. Oh, it's stuck in there. And if you're wondering how I'm keeping myself grounded so static doesn't build up, I have a metal desk and I have my knee pressed against it. So, alright, so we're going to take this out. Okay, so we'll peel this off from here. This kind of just keeps that cable from moving all over the place. Okay, I'm going to lift that up. Tuck that underneath. All right, so we're going to look at the bottom here, and you can see it does have the two metal things there, so we don't need to replace that. One thing you want to do is make sure the hinges are opened all the way. If you're not able to do that, you can use the screwdriver in there, and you can use that to kind of as a lever to pry it. Alright, so you can get the screwdriver in this and you can use that to help open it. Make sure you don't pull too hard, you don't want to end up breaking the hinge, of course. Okay, so we're going to set the screen aside for now. Now we know what we need. Let's go ahead and pull the wireless antennas out. So if you look here, they have these little holes for air vents. So basically when the air gets sucked in, it comes through these holes and then it blows out here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use these air vent holes to help pull this antenna up. The antennas on these airs tend to be really difficult to pull up. I'm not sure why, but here you can see, let me actually zoom in a bit here for you guys. Okay, so I don't know why, but these antennas are always really difficult to pull up. So you can see once we kind of grab it up a bit, it's still really stuck in there. They have the, there's some metal things in here that hold it really strong. Actually, let me go ahead and take these screws out as well. Okay, I think those were T5s. Okay, so we're going to take these two screws out. All right, I think those were the only two other screws in there that we had to remove, if I remember correctly. Okay. Also, when you go to unscrew, make sure you go slow. And if you feel the screwdriver slip at all, you want to use a different bit, okay? All right, so we're going to remove this just so we can kind of see underneath. So here's what it looks like. Let me see if I can show you guys this. Okay, and the metal clips, yeah, it's hard to show this. I don't know if I can do it. But the black area here, and then the silver one here, and the black one here, they have little dimples that stick out, and they grip along this center piece here. You can see how it goes in that little slot, that silver area, and that's how it holds into place. So anyways, let's zoom out again, and let's go ahead and pull this thing up if we can get it out. Again, it does take quite a bit of force. Okay, pull this up. Okay, and make sure this cable is out of the way. You don't want to rip that cable trying to pull this up. Okay, you can see it's really difficult to get out. I'm going to go on this side now and pull up here. Okay, I like to get my fingernail underneath this little part that extends out so I can use that to kind of help pull it up. And again, I'm going to hold this cable out of the way, kind of wiggle it, and grab over to the middle part here. Again, this one is these are really difficult to remove. There you go, wiggling that helped. Okay, and again, you want to be careful not to damage this cable. Now you can go ahead and take the wireless antennas out. All right, so it helps to kind of grab here and kind of wiggle it as you pull. Okay, let's go ahead and clear out the dust here. And I hope this is the issue with their screen, because the screen just stays black, but their computer definitely works because it works with an external monitor. I'm going to try and get all this dust stuff out here. Okay, usually I use my electric air blower, and I usually do this outside, but it's really late right now, so I'm going to end up just blowing all the dust in my work area, I guess. Okay. Clean that up a bit. Okay, there we go. All right, next thing we're gonna do, which I'm gonna have to zoom out quite a bit to show. Okay, we're gonna open this thing up all the way, okay, completely, just like this. I'm gonna take my T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver now. Okay, assuming that they didn't change the size of this as well. Okay, and we're gonna take these 6 screws out. All right, also these screws, I like to add a little bit of red thread locker so they don't come loose, because sometimes these screws, the hinge screws, come loose and then they cause damage. So I'll show you guys that once I get this out and put the new screen in. Okay, we're just gonna get these 6 screws out. Also, I've done other videos where I replaced the trackpad and the battery and things like that on this model, and I think also the speakers. So if you need a video for those processes, just let me know. I'll see if I can find the video and send that to you guys. But yeah. Okay, There we go. Now that we got the screws removed, we can let the screen drop to 90 degrees, and then we can go ahead and lift the screen out. And it comes out just like that. Okay, we're going to get the replacement screen now. Okay, and what you want to do, you do have to hold this up out of the way so that it can go on top. Okay, so we're going to hold that up like this, and then we're going to drop this into place. Okay, just like that. All right, next thing we're going to do, hold the screen up, and then we're going to get the screws in here. Usually I'll just put the inner ones first, and then I'll close the screen so I can make sure everything's aligned. So what we'll do, we get this screw in. Okay, then we'll get the other screw in. Okay, then after I got those two in, I'm going to slowly, carefully close this. So I leave this resting like this, and I'll slowly, carefully close the screen. The reason you do this is because you want to make sure everything's aligned. It's not getting caught in anything. It's not like going to break itself. Okay, then you can see this gap is not really lined up right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the screw and see if I can align it, or if it's just that's how this hinges were installed. So I'm going to do that. Okay. All right, so here you can see I can actually slide it over, and now the gap between here is pretty equal. Okay, and then you also want to check front to back, make sure that it's flush here. Okay, so the back part here should be flush. Okay, try and get that as flush as possible. You don't want to have it like crooked. All right, and then once you got that all lined up and everything is good, you can go ahead and tighten the one screw on each side. And then what we're going to do, we're going to add the thread locker. Again, I use the red thread locker. You can use the blue stuff if you want, but I found that a lot of times the blue stuff comes loose, so I use the red, and I don't really use too much. Some people tell me the screws will get stuck, but I've never had an issue with the screws getting stuck. And this is the 262, which is like not completely permanent. It's like a semi-permanent thing, so it's, yeah, all right. And also on these tiny screws, it doesn't really hold too strong, but there you go. I put like a little bit, not even a full drop, and then we'll just tighten the screw in. Okay, we're gonna do this with all three. So get the other screw, same thing. Also, it has this blue stuff, so the red doesn't even grip completely to the screw. It kind of grips to the blue stuff a little bit, so it makes it, even though it's like stronger thread locker, it does come out relatively easily. Okay, do a little bit more here. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go over to the other side and do the same thing. I know, sorry it's zoomed out so far, but it's kind of tough to keep moving this thing around all over the place for something like this. Okay, here we go. This one. Again, we just put very little. You don't want a lot. Just barely touch it to like a drop. And yeah, all right. Get this one back out, and we'll add some more. And I hope this screen's gonna work, because then I'm doing all, if it doesn't, then I'm putting all of this for nothing. I'm gonna have to do it again with the old screen. But anyways, we're done with the thread locker now. We'll set that aside. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna rotate this back over. Okay, now we're gonna get the wireless antennas. We're gonna thread it through in between the screen thing. Okay, so make sure to hold that up, get this in, make sure this cable is out of the way. Okay, line this stuff up. The tricky part is getting all of this into place. All right. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. And then we're gonna have to line this up. Okay, and line this up. Good. And then I'm gonna have to, I don't know if I'll be able to see this to work on it, but you want to be able to look straight over the top, and then you can line these up to the little grooves. If you look at this, you can see where that groove goes, and where this groove is, and where that groove is, and you want to get this snapped back into those. So usually the best way you can do this is if you get like a screwdriver with like thicker base like this, and then you can use that to help push it down into place. Okay, just make sure it's lined up right. Okay, then you can use that to push that back down. Okay, just like that, and you feel it kind of slot in. It doesn't go like 100% all the way down, but you can see like now when you try and pull it, it's holding again. Okay, and that's what you want. All right, so we're gonna now switch back over. We're gonna flip this over again, and we're gonna go to the T5 again, Torx 5. We're done with the T8, so I'll put that away. All right, got too many screwdriver bits here now. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna put these outer screws back in first, okay? And I'm gonna loosely fit them first. You don't wanna tighten them down right away, okay? Just loose to make sure everything is lined up. All right, second one. There we go. We're gonna go over here. Same thing, we'll grab 2. Loosely fit it. All right, and last one, and then we can go ahead and tighten it down once we got all of those in. Good. So you can go ahead and tighten that down all the way. Go over here, tighten that down all the way. Wait, is that a T6? Am I confused myself again? Okay, we're gonna switch back to the T6. Okay, good. We'll tighten this one. I forgot Apple's doing weird stuff with this one. Okay, this one is not a T6, so I do need to use the T5. There we go. All right, so we got all of that in place. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to again put the other 2 T5 screws that hold this board down into place. Okay, so this, you just got to line it up. All right, get that in place. Loosely fit this first. Okay, second one, same thing, and get that in. Make sure it's all lined up, and you can go ahead and tighten it down. Good. All right. Next thing we're gonna do, I think we're done with the T5 now. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna reconnect this cable. Let's zoom in. Usually you kind of want to pull it down a little bit this direction. Get it lined up and click it into place. Okay. And sometimes it helps to kind of look at it at an angle like this. Dust there. Okay. Lined up and click that in. Good. Oops, sorry, I was going out of view. Click that in. There we go. Let's go ahead now and get that little cable back in. All right. So I think we had to use the T3 for that. Get this metal plate back on top. Okay. 2 screws. Okay. And we'll get this one in. There we go. Okay, good. Now let's get the wireless antennas in. Make sure they're lined up right. All right, you want to make sure it's completely over properly before you press it down. Okay, and then click that in because you don't want to push it down if it's not lined up and damage the antennas. The antennas themselves, this antenna board, at least you can replace, but if you damage the connector that's on the board, then you're screwed. You're gonna have to find someone that can solder those tiny things back in. All right, and I don't know if you can even get replacements of those. Anyways, let's get this metal bar back on. Okay, that one's good. Second one. All right, get that in. Come on. There we go. Dusty stuff. Let's get it out. Okay, and then we're going to reconnect the battery. So just lift up this plasticky stuff. Okay, so the battery's kind of weird. It's not in a socket, like it actually just goes in between like this. Okay, so you line up the thinner part of that into that slot. Okay, so here you can see it just falls in there like that. And then once it falls in there, you can go ahead and push that in, and you'll see it snaps in just like that. Okay, then we'll stick this tape back over the top. Let me clean this bottom cover off real quick, and then we will power it up and see how it goes. Okay, so let me do that real quick, and I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. We cleaned that off. Let's go ahead and snap this cover back on. And then we're going to go ahead and turn it on and see if the screen comes up or if it stays off. The other screen, it lit up, but it just stayed black. So we're going to see if the new screen solved that issue. I hope it did, because I don't know what else would be causing it. Anyways, let's go ahead and open up the screen. Okay. And right now, it's not going to turn on, of course. We are going to have to plug it in. So let's plug this in. And it should start clicking. There we go. Trackpad's clicking, so we know it's on. And hopefully, if we're lucky, I see that. Why is the camera light? Oh, there we go. So problem solved. It was the screen. The screen was bad. I don't know what happened. Maybe they got water in this little area here and that killed it. But definitely the screen is on now. Let me wait till it kind of turns on all the way. I'm going to actually wrap up their old screen in case they want it for some reason. So I'm going to take this plastic stuff off, if I can. Oh, there we go. And stick that to their old screen. And then I will give them back their old screen, and they can decide what they want to do with it. Usually people just ask me to e-waste it for them or something. But, okay. All right, but definitely their screen is coming on. You can see. All right, so we should be good to go. And that's pretty much it. We're just going to put back the screws on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, close this up, and I'll actually transfer this over as well. Okay, to the other screen because they have it. Okay, there we go. Old screen's all wrapped up. All right, got some fingerprints on there. They do have like a little screen cover, but anyways, let's go ahead. Well, I guess let's put the screen cover on. How does this fit this way? I don't know if there's a right side up or down, but this is how they had it on there earlier, so I guess I'll put it back the same way. Top one had that, and I'll just snap that in. Oh, that doesn't work. Gotta snap this side in first, I guess. Okay. Alright, so we got that back on. Let's go ahead and put back all the screws, and we should be good to go. Alright, again, to put the bottom screws back in, we're going to switch back over to the Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver. Okay. And we'll just get all these screws in, and that's pretty much it. So again, hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Other than that, you're welcome to stay as I get all these screws back in, but that's all there is to it. All right, let's get all these screws back in there. All right, looks good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Let's drop this. Bye.